So Ayana Parapil of the Gray Zone owns Congress and calls out these jagoff politicians. And you know something? Sometimes you find a tweet. Sometimes you find a tweet that is pure gold, 100% pure gold, that is glorious in every which way. And I found this, and I love it. I think it's great. Turns out we'd be better off with 100 Laura Boeberts in Congress than 100 AOCs. Well, Representative Boebert isn't the greatest of all the politicians. She's just like any other neoliberal politician, but she has her hands on the pulse of the nation. Okay, terrible joke, but at least Boebert can grab and ensure that everything's good. Anyways, what am I talking about? Well, it turns out Progressive War Party, MTG, wants Johnson out, but Democrats will come to his rescue. Turns out, pro-war Democrat Representative Row Your Boat Ro Khanna, Democrat from California, progressive, who is a member of the Armed Services Committee, said Sunday he would protect Speaker Johnson's job if conservative members of his party go through with their threat to oust him out of office. I'm a progressive Democrat, but Johnson, did the right thing here, funding all the wars. What was that? Say it again. Row your boat. He did the right thing here, funding all the wars. Khanna said to ABC News, and he deserves to keep his job till the end of his term. Isn't that fan-frickin-tastic? Forever war. We're stuck with this. Before I pull up some articles here, I just want to pull this up here. Shout out to Nico House, good friend of the show.
Hey guys, I know a lot of you are having trouble paying the bills, keeping food on the table, but I thought that you'd be happy to know that at least Congress found $95 billion to send to Ukraine and Israel. Yep. In two separate pieces of legislation, Congress approved $60.8 billion to go to Ukraine and another $26 billion to go to Israel. And when both of these pieces of legislation passed, these people in the United States Congress decided to whip out Ukrainian flags to celebrate them sending your tax dollars to support a fight by neo-Nazis. Oh, but remember, when Rashida Tlaib decided to hang a Palestinian flag outside of her office, that's treason. She supported terrorists. She can't do that. We got to pass a whole piece of legislation to stop Rashida Tlaib from having a Palestinian flag, even though she's actually Palestinian. But y'all can wave little neo-Nazi Ukrainian flags.
Yes, they could do that. Apparently they could do that. And before we play the rest of the video, just so you all know, this is a video just to own the libs. Global military spending rose by 2.4 trillion in 2023, says a study. Military spending is soaring across the globe, with particularly large increases recorded in Europe, the Middle East, and Asia. Hey, the United States is always going to be number one, though, baby. According to a new report by Stockholm International Peace and Research Institute on Monday, total global military expenditure was up 6.8% in real terms last year, reaching an all-time high of 2.4 trillion. The figure marks the steepest year-on-year increase since 2009, the report shows, with the top three spenders last year being the United States, China, and Russia. The U.S., which spends more on defense than any other nation, ramped up expenditure by 2.3% to $916 billion, representing 68% of total NATO spending. China allocated an estimated $296 billion to its military in 2023, with an increase of 6% from 2022. The country accounted for half of the total military spending across Asia and Oceania. The report indicated that the Ukraine conflict has led to an increase in spending not only by Kiev and Moscow, but also the whole host of European countries. Say it with me, folks. What could possibly go wrong?
Interesting. Then you got guys like Representative Clay Higgins on some, look at all the Democrats waving flags. Nah. We're not doing this, guys. The House of Representatives is dominated by Republicans. The same Republicans who ran on opposing the Ukrainian war because they specifically were referring to it as Biden's war. But now that they're in office, they're walking in lockstep with the Democrats and then trying to pretend like it's the Democrats who have the majority and not them. Oh, but we're going to talk about the Democrats too, because all of them, including the squad, voted to send money to Ukraine. But the squad decided they wanted to separate themselves and vote against sending aid to Israel.
You can't have it both ways, squad. It's either you're consistent or not. I think this tweet says it best. AOC. AOC. Sheepdog says woof woof. AOC, as I played before in a previous video, AOC praises the pro-Palestinian protests happening in Colombia. And there she is with Joe Biden talking about climate change. And yet, she voted for more war in Ukraine.
And it had a lot of people thinking, wow, well, at least they voted against this legislation. No. See, the part that the squad isn't telling you in their cute little tweets where they say they're voting against the aid is that the bills, one, we're going to pass anyway, but two, they're about to be joined together and voted on again before they head to the Senate. And the assumption is all of them are going to vote in favor of this legislation because that's what the Democrats told them to do. So you had the Republicans who ran on challenging the war in Ukraine, claiming they were going to do everything in their power to stop the unnecessary aid going there. You have progressives and Democrats who are pretending as we speak like they're going to stand up to the genocidal regime of Israel Netanyahu, but they're going to vote for this legislation and send more money anyway. It's almost like the entire country is getting played and Congress doesn't give a goddamn what y'all want. So this is just a reminder, the next time you think your side is better on an issue, just know they're not. They're just better at acting like they're on your side until they get their money and your vote. We're not going to talk about the fact that they just had a bunch of little Ukrainian flags like under their chairs ready to swing. Like, how did that?
Yeah, how did I get there? You may ask yourself, how did I get here? And how do I feel about this bill now going before the Senate? How do I feel about it? Do I oppose it?
In the face of all of that, and that's why I absolutely oppose every bit of it.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you for speaking for me. Continue on, Nico. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
Whole situation go? Is there like a Ukrainian flag shop right outside of Capitol Hill? Like, did they get a staffer? Like, that's super corny. And also, how?
Precisely. Shout out the hotspot. And just so you guys understand how much of a waste all of this military spending is, this is another video from Hotspot. Listen very carefully. Listen to me very carefully on this one, okay? Hear me out. Hear me out. This video, the U.S. Air Force Secretary stumped in Congress over a bag of bushings. I want you to take a wild guess how much that bag costs. Take a wild guess. All right? Just take a wild guess. Type, multiple choice. All right, there is a correct answer, but take a wild guess.
Air Force Secretary with his question.
This, Mr. Secretary, is a bag of bushings. This bag of bushings, stamped out by machinists, don't need a high school diploma. It's not anything high tech about this. All of this bag is compliant with the FAA specifications. How much do you think the Air Force pays for this bag of bushings?
I don't know, Congressman.
$90,000.
$90,000. 90000. Aren't you tired of getting suckered? Because I know I am.
This is a $90,000 bag of bushings that you need for any jet turbine engine just to operate. So the exorbitant cost due to DoD only buying commercial parts from the OEMs, which is essentially sole source, is literally driving us out of business. I mean, the interest on our debt alone is now exceeding, for the first time in American history, the entire defense budget. We can't afford it anymore.
The bag of bushings normally costs well under $100 for average Americans.
$100. But we and our government spend $90,000. That's 90000.
The military forks out $90,000 a bag. Even though the Department of Defense buys all the parts directly from the manufacturers, the huge military overspending of $2.24 trillion shows no sign of slowing down.
And of course, here's the nightmare situation. Senate set to advance Ukraine aid after roller coaster House battle. It doesn't matter who controls the House or the Senate. It doesn't matter who sits on the throne. Really, it doesn't. I want to return back to the tweet here. Turns out we'd be better off with 100 Laura Boeberts in Congress than 100 AOCs. You know, on the one hand, not getting all handsy or grabbing onto anything. I'll let Representative Boebert handle that one. No pun intended. But 100 AOCs, you get 100 liars who say things you want to hear. Was at least with the Republicans. At least I know they're not going to look out for my best interest. But neither choice is good unless you like being grabbed on. Hey, don't grab me. But this is where we're at now. In fact, what would you prefer? Here, I'm going to give you multiple choice. Option 1, 2, or 3. Would you prefer 100 AOCs? Would you prefer 100 Laura Boeberts? Hey, keep your hands to yourself. Or 3, none of the above, burn the system down. I wonder how many 3s will get in the chat. I wonder. But continuing on, all you beautiful people. The Senate on Tuesday is at last set to advance legislation providing aid to Ukraine, moving Congress toward the end of a month-long battle that raised questions about the survival of Mike Johnson's speakership and Kiev's defenses. Goodness gracious, cretaceous. We're really going to go through with this. The senators will hold the first procedural vote on the $95 billion aid package. 95, that's 9-5, and 6 zeros behind it. Package Tuesday afternoon, starting at 30-hour clock toward a vote on final passage. That would take place Wednesday night, absent a deal on amendments, with Senate Majority Leader Chucky Boy Schumer increasingly likely to let the clock wind down instead. The prevailing thought is now that Schumer will make them grind out the clock, said one Senate Republican. The lawmaker noted Schumer is hesitant to grant a vote to Senator Bernie Sanders related to the ongoing Israeli-Hamas war in Gaza. Sanders, over the weekend, said he is pushing for a pair of amendments, one that would put the conditions on military aid for Israel, and another to restore funding to the United Nations Agency for Palestinian Refugees, known as UNRWA, for its work in Gaza, the UNRWA. If a deal is struck, any amendment vote is widely expected to fail, as alterations to the package would force the House, which is in recess this week, to vote on it again. Why does the House always go on recess or vacation? I want to hear about these people always go on vacation. Oh, yeah, we're on vacation now. We're on recess. Like, what do you do? What do you frickin' do? Bunch of jackasses. That's what they do. While the timing of a final vote is unknown, the result is not. The House aid bill is expected to win. Whoa. What are you doing? Do not interrupt me while I'm doing the show. It's expected to win almost every Senate Democrat and about half the Republican conference, passing with ease after a torturous process that got lawmakers to this point. Proponents and backers of Kiev, including Schumer and Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, the turtle boy himself, have been pounding the table since late last summer, urging for another round of funding for the war-torn country, but have been thwarted by conservative opposition for much of the process that led members down a winding road that included a 3-month border negotiation detour, with conservatives killing the bipartisan bill as soon as it was released. And by the way, in case anyone's wondering if there might be a force to vote, well, there could be, but Ro Khanna says Speakership Johnson deserves to keep his job. Remember how people believed that this guy was a progressive? Ro Khanna defended Speaker Mike Johnson on Sunday, saying he deserves to keep his job as he faces down the threat to remove him after backing aid for Ukraine and Israel. Representative MTG, you know me, leads a group of 3 GOP members who've signed on to the motion to vacate the speakership, a move that could throw the House into chaos for a second time this year. These are our politicians, folks. I could read more of it, but I've talked more about how Speaker Mike Johnson could be facing a force of vote situation. You have many Republican lawmakers that are foaming at the mouth, ready for another conflict. And of course, now you have Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky lauded the actions of Congress during an interview with Meet the Press, saying that the move ensures Ukraine has a chance for victory and will not be the second Afghanistan. If you don't believe me that I just read that, Here. Ukrainian President Zelensky lauded the actions of Congress during an interview with Meet the Press, saying that the move ensures Ukraine has a chance for victory and will not be a second Afghanistan. I know a pain is in my stomach. I have a grinding headache, and a chill is down my spine. Say it with me, folks, especially for the people in back. What could possibly go wrong? Just a week before, Zelensky noted that the Ukrainian forces were unable to stop a Russian attack on Kiev, region's biggest power plant, because they did not have enough missiles. We need to get it approved by the Senate, Zelensky said, and then we want to get things as fast as possible so that we can make some tangible assistance for the soldiers on the front as soon as possible, not another 6 months, so that they will be able to move ahead. How did it come to this? I don't know. When I look at this, funny tweet, but you know what? I'd prefer to have 0 Lauren Boeberts. I would prefer to have 0 AOCs. I want to have a whole new reset.